All right, picture this, right? It's Uro, but we alter Uro to be Kirby. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video. And today, Josh has given me a pretty neat challenge. So, the build around idea was Uro plus Talon Gates of Madara. So, if you use Uro as intended, you cast Uro for 3 mana, you draw a card, you gain a little life, and you maybe put a land into play. And then you escape it maybe the next turn or a few turns later. But what if we skip the middleman? What if we cheat with Talon Gates of Madara? So our goal here is play an Uro, draw a card, gain the life, put Talon Gates of Madara into play, phase out our Uro, and then we get to keep our Uro forever. Now, why might we want to do this, other than the fact that we can? Because honestly, that's the reason why we do a lot of things on this channel. Within the context of current Legacy, games are fast, and being a traditional control deck is pretty hard. So to be able to, on 3 mana, which can happen on turn 2 sometimes, put a 6/6 source of card advantage and life gain into play, being able to steal some games early and not have to just drag every game on with Up the Beanstalk until we grind our opponent into dust is pretty attractive. So this is kind of our Murktide Regent, so to speak. This is our thing that is hopefully going to finish the game quickly. I was able to find a bug deck that I used as the basis for this, but I had to make a lot of changes. The original list that I found was playing Icefang Coatl, and I was not a fan of Icefang Coatl. The last couple of times that I played it, I was finding that trying to make my mana work while setting up the snow-covered lands was just not great. It used to be that you had a decent amount of time in Legacy to get that set up, but current Legacy is just so fast. I'm going to try Baleful Strix instead. That means I'm going to be a little less good at flashing creatures in end of turn, but I think I don't want to jump through the hoops. And I also don't want to be playing a bunch of basic lands. I think Talon Gates of Madara is going to put a little bit of strain on my mana. It is going to give me the colors, but not necessarily on time. And there are a bunch of double or even quadruple pip things in this deck. So there is going to be a real cost of playing these, sort of like there is a real cost of playing flex lands like Wasteland. The other big thing that I'm trying to do here is just Kaito. I think Kaito is pretty strong, and if we have it coming down pretty consistently because we have a decent number of creatures that actually attack, like we have 19 creatures in this deck. That's 15 non-Uro creatures if we don't want to count Uro. Like, if this comes down early and consistently and then becomes a source of card advantage or just buying time by stunning creatures a few times, and then like I get a Baleful Strix in front of their creature, like this seems pretty reasonable. I absolutely considered just playing 2 Kaitos and adding in something like a Life from the Loam or another Tamiyo, but I'm hoping this trifecta of Tamiyo plus Uro plus Kaito gives us enough card advantage to just be good, and hopefully we don't feel like we need beans after a round or two. Now, as far as the sideboard goes, I think the most interesting thing here is Tear Asunder. For 2 mana, you get to exile target artifact or enchantment, specifically meaning that you can deal with the One Ring, but at 4 mana, you can exile target non-land permanent instead. I'm going to try this one out. I am unsure if this is better than just playing something like Disruptor Flute, but I like testing things to see how they feel. With that, let's go ahead and hop into some matches here, folks. If you need any cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU saves you 5% on your order. You always get free shipping. You can expedite that shipping if you need it. And if you need some great deals on some dual lands, check them out. And if you're in person and you see this purple banner, there tend to be even better deals available in person than what's on their website. With that being said, let's battle. Okay, my opening hand here seems reasonable. I would like to find a little bit more top end. I'd like to find a Kaito. I'd like to find an Uro to pair with Talon Gates. Like, we can just do that next turn if I luck sack into an Uro. Okay. This is 60 card. Let's leave open a Bowmaster and pass the turn. Lighted Halfling getting saucy. So are you 60 card Hate Bears? Are you an energy deck? Are you 60 card D&T? Energy is the answer. Yes. I think this Wasteland should have happened in main phase 1, and then Guide of Souls should have happened in main phase 2, so that what is about to happen does not happen. My opponent is going to now flash in an Ocelot Pride, which is fine. I think I'm going to give my opponent one cat and then just Bowmaster this body rather than snuffing out the body. So there's their trigger. And I think I'll just do this now. I don't know what sort of ephemerate style nonsense could be happening over there. I'm going to take my chip damage where I can get it. But I think I'm going to preemptively play around it. Vial goes to 2. Voice of Victory is just something that I'm going to be cognizant of. Orcish Bowmasters is now something that I'm going to be thinking about. Bowmasters does not die to snuff out specifically. Oh, it's red. Yeah, that's fine. So, red, white, energy, hate bears. I am fine getting rid of my Orc Army token for that body. Go on. I see. That's your plan. Too bad. That's not going to work out. My opponent wanted to let this cat die and get a Planeswalker, but I stopped that. Fatal Push. Here I think I'm just going to hold up Endurance. So if my opponent attacks with one of these, which one do I want to kill? Probably the Canonist. You know, they phase out until beginning of the opponent's turn, so that doesn't super matter, actually. I care about my Bowmaster body for Kaito, maybe. Let's play this. I'll phase out the Canonist. See if my opponent wants to trade bodies. They're probably not drawing cards. 17. I imagine Vial is staying at 2. I'm very glad my opponent did not play their Ajani in a way where Karakas was available to just repeatedly protect that and bounce it. Alright, Amped Raptor, which is maybe not going to do anything because they're playing main deck Canonist. Yeah, so that's a Guide of Souls, which my opponent can't cast. Alright, my opponent chooses not to attack, and I will go ahead and do an Endurance at end of turn. I'll clear my opponent's graveyard. I don't know that they're going to use it for something, but... Alright, how do I feel about trying to maintain my status as the aggressor? Not great. I might just be chilling here. I do have Brainstorms and Ponders, right? Yeah, okay, I do. Just turn 5 and I haven't seen a cantrip. A little weird. So I have a Fatal Push for an emergency. Otherwise, I'm just gonna try to sit on that. Violent Clearing. Okay, we are full on Mardu. I don't super understand wanting to play Aether Vial in my opponent's deck so far. Like, I think Aether Vial is kind of a bad card in Legacy right now. And some of their cards like Amped Raptor are only good if you cast it. That's an Ocelot Pride. My opponent didn't gain any life here. My opponent also can't crack Silent Clearing or I kill Ocelot Pride. I think I'm holding this. That is not what I'm looking for. I will go ahead and pass the turn here. All right, no end of turn 2 drop off Vial. That's also good for me. All right, Static Prison can take out my Endurance. My opponent can keep it around for quite a while. That's not the end of the world. We are coming to party. I can trade a Delighted Halfling for a Canonist in theory. And trade anybody, including Bowmasters, for the cat. But it's not gaining life here. I kind of can't use the Fatal Push. I need to really respect Johnny as that last card, I think. Maybe that's not 100% true. Let's do this now. I can surveil here to see what's coming. Use that to dictate my decision. Alright, never mind. Land goes to graveyard. So I think I'm going to go ahead and block here. And just there. I'm going to see if my opponent flashes in Ajani now. If they don't, I might be safe to go ahead and just use Fatal Push on a different creature. And just take 2 this turn. Alright, cool. Alright, so I take 2. Opponent still can't redraw with Silent Clearing, or I kill Ocelot Pride. They started tapping Silent Clearing for mana and then didn't. That is another Endurance, which is cool. So Endurance is going to be in timeout forever. Like, 5 energy is basically infinite energy, at least as far as Static Prison is concerned. Alright, are you getting saucy? You are getting saucy. Then I will flash in Endurance. Take that out of the graveyard on the off chance that that matters for something like a Flage. Junk Canonist. Excellent. Another Bowmaster is very good. Am I the beatdown now? Ajani is still awkward, but I might be the beatdown. Let's send in with Endurance. Opponent is at 14. I've got Bowmaster available. Static Prison eats another energy. Wasteland is whatever. You've got it. Another Ocelot Pride. That's in theory fine. Not like the first one is doing a ton anyway. So yeah, and ping one of these. Silent Clearing has gotten even worse, and at this point my opponent is ready to throw in the towel. We won that game on turn 8, having drawn 0 cantrips and 0 sources of card advantage. That went well. If this Aether Vial is another threat, I don't know that the game goes as well. Actually, more importantly than that, I think my opponent just fucked up with their initial Wasteland, right? So their initial Wasteland blunder of not splitting that between phases let me Fatal Push a creature and then efficiently use my mana on future turns. There was a defining moment in the game. It was that use of Wasteland. Snuff Out is great. That is coming in. Tear Asunder can be a 4-mana removal spell. I don't think I need Null Rod. I don't think I need Consign. It may just be that the game 1 deck with Strix, Bowmasters, Push, Snuff Out, Kaito, Uro, Witherbloom is just fine here. So my opponent almost certainly has Orcish Bowmasters in their deck, right? I could do something like Trim a Brainstorm here in respect of that. Didn't need cantrips last game anyway. Oh yeah, this looks like a perfectly reasonable hand. I don't have initial removal like I did last game, though. So, like, I have removal starting on turn 2. Yes. And I think I am probably just going to do a Brainstorm on my own main phase so that that never gets hit by Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, cool. The next turn, in theory, I would like to Fatal Push and Tameo. Yeah, and yeah. Delighted Halfling is okay. But yeah, honestly, all my cards here are fine. I think I'm going to throw back 1 fetch land as the card that I potentially shuffle away. And then if my opponent discards me, what is the card that I always want to have? That is what I will put on top. Probably the Fatal Push. Next land drop for red. That is an Ajani. Sure. So that's 2 energy, and I will take 1 damage from the attack going to 19. Got it. So do I want to draw the next land? Honestly, I'm probably fine with it. I'm going to play this land. I think I take out Ajani, so I never have to jump through the Planeswalker hoop. I'm pretty darn good at using 4 mana next turn. I'm going to play Delighted Halfling, even though that might mean that I take a little more damage than if I play Tameo. So my hope is that I Bowmaster this, and then play Baleful Strix to trade with this or some other creature. Harsh Mentor. Okay, so I'll take some damage from my fetch lands. If it isn't a mana ability, so I'm still good to activate Delighted Halfling. Okay, got it. Alright, I'm just gonna eat this damage. It's a lot. Ooh, that makes this worse. But that means that I can now block this. Okay. So opponent, let me eat a damage for free? Sure. Okay. So let's go blue and black. Play something that stalls the board. Oh, nice. We've got our combo for next turn. I'll take 3 damage here. Ow. Harsh Mentor. Plus regular damage. Get another trop. Throw a 0/3 blocker into play. I'm in a very good position here. I don't think my opponent has used their resources optimally. This is really neat tech, though. Oh yeah, that Aether Vial feels so bad here, as opposed to a regular threat. Opponent also does not have black mana. Ooh, that's pretty good. Strix is in timeout. Opponent does have 3 energy. Does not use it because this stuff, which means I get to block 2 and take 5 damage, going to 7. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uro gain 3 life. Talon Gates into play. Phase out my Uro. Now I've got some Bowmaster lines available. And I think as long as I make it back to my turn here without being dead, I probably win. There's a good chance that I end up snuffing out a creature here. All right, so my opponent has paid. They don't want me to have Baleful Strix back. That is inconvenient. So the issue here is that if my opponent's last card produces 2 bodies, they can go up to 3 energy. No, I'll still have a blocker. It's fine. I think I will snuff out Harsh Mentor here. Now I'm able to fetch. No basic lands. All right, everybody is coming to party. Go ahead and fetch. Get an Underground Sea. Do Orcish Bowmasters. King Guide of Souls. Go ahead and block Guide of Souls. And honestly, I'm going to do a Tamiyo jump block here. I have Uro coming in just a second. And I imagine that this very easily takes over the game. Opponent is going to go ahead and take the draw there, which seems perfectly reasonable. All right, Bowmasters is not available. Brainstorm is actively good. I guess there is a first striker that could come in and be annoying. All right, that's okay. Opponent goes to 12. Let's cast this now. Or Bowmasters is a thing. Oh yeah. Because of Talon Gates, I don't actually get to do everything here. I think I am just playing Strix. Putting back 2 Witherbloom commands. So black and blue, play Baleful Strix, draw into a removal spell for the future. It's not a removal spell for everything, though. So my opponent now has 1 energy left, so I am getting presumably Delighted Halfling back this turn. Welcome back to the team, bud. Okay, what do you got? Orcish Bowmaster is very good. I have Witherbloom command to answer it on my own turn, though. So I'm going to take 4 damage, and that is very meaningful. But I don't think this is enough, especially since I am just holding Force of Will here. So let's kill a thing. Do I just want to destroy the Aether Vial for the other mode? Or get a land? I'll destroy the Aether Vial so that Force of Will is more live. So Aether Vial and Bowmasters go down. Yaw and yaw. I'll go to Punchies. Send in like this and see what happens. Ponder, sure. Opponent does that. That's fine. They are at 11. I could Witherbloom command again. I don't know that I need to. I think I am just going to go ahead and ponder. I could just gain 3 life. Gain 3 life, draw a card. Have another Uro at the ready for if this one gets answered. Yeah, I'm good with that. I will keep the one that is allowed to attack, please. I'll get a Trop too. I don't think I'm pondering. I'm saving that for Force of Will. Like we set up this whole Aether Vial situation already. Belia. Nah. You don't get that. So now my opponent does not have mana to play an Orcish Bowmasters. I am going to get another Baleful Strix. And that all worked out very, very cleanly here. Good first showing for our deck. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, opening hand has 2 mana, but the 2 mana that I have don't cast my spells. I think I mulligan this one. Yeah, this is way better. The Force of Will has nothing to pair with it. I have a Tamiyo that can maybe get something to pair with it, and I don't really know that I need land drop 4. I think I will throw back Bayou here. Do I want to lead on Delighted Halfling to leave Force of Will available for the first turn, or do I just want to be cracking clues immediately? I'd really like to be cracking clues immediately to find something to pair with Force of Will, but if I bait a Lightning Bolt or whatever with Delighted Halfling, that is very, very, very preferable, and gives me a turn to draw a blue card to pair with the Tamiyo. Underground Sea Gamer. Oh, there goes Tamio. Unless my opponent is something like Doomsday, in which case taking Force of Will might make sense. Uh-oh. Alright, let's sculpt a plan here. Bowmasters is not bad. Endurance is not bad. These are fine cards. I need to keep this. I need to keep a true green producing land, so this probably gets Bayou. So these three are mandatory keeps. Ponder I probably don't need. And then it's, do I want the next mana source or do I want Tamio? I'm going to go with the mana source. Daze is a real card that exists. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch. I need this to be green mana. Or sorry, black mana. Well, it needs to be Bayou. And I'm going to go ahead and do this at sorcery speed. If I pass the turn not attacking with Delighted Halfling, I think that super clearly telegraphs what I have. But let's just get this in play so that my opponent can't like play around by waiting and casting a Brainstorm in response. Blooded Strand. No. No. Uh-huh. Oh, that's frustrating. Am I dead to that? What do I have to answer an Archon of Cruelty? Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Kaito is, I guess, what I would want to draw here. Discard Endurance. I get a Bowmaster ping, which will replace the creature. Oop. There we go. Kaito. Uncounterable Kaito. Well, yes. I put it into play, actually, on their turn. And blank the attack. I think that's better than hitting for 3. Alright. We are out here doing our best. Talon Gates. Phase out Archon. We get a Fog. That's fine. Opponent can pick a land. Drop is the most flexible in regards to Uro. Ooh, that's real good. Now my opponent gets to do their cantrips. I'd be looking for counterspell protection if I were them. Alright, Ponder. You've got work to do, bud. So I think I am taking the other Ponder. We will awkwardly cast it. So I draw Uro, have opponent make me discard it, sack Orc Army token to attack, have uncounterable Uro next turn. That stays in play. Okay. That's not bad. Alright. Weird line, though. It's not very often that you intentionally put a card in your hand. This is phased out. That you intentionally put a card in your hand to discard to an Archon of Cruelty. Especially when playing a control deck. Opponent makes their land drop. Oh, they thought about not attacking. Are you going to Kaito? Alright, I sacrifice this. I discard this. I'm at 7. Please don't kill my Delighted Halfling. Nice. Now, opponent gets to look for something. If they happen to have main deck Graveyard Hate, it would be a disaster. Is a Tamio. Obviously good. Go to 6. Oh no, I think I fucked up. I think I needed to not do the fetch land. I think that 1 life matters. This is going to put me to 9. The 1 life mattered. Fuck. I didn't count that out ahead of time. The Archon attack is 9. Could be at 10. What's the next card I draw? Endurance. Fish Bowmasters. There's nothing that is getting me through this Archon. But I had a line. I could have mapped that out better. Alright. Surgicals and Spell Bombs are in. And then I decide whether or not I want something like Force of Negation. But it's very frustrating to have to play against this deck. It's just so resilient. I kind of need everything right. I kind of need the Graveyard Hate. I kind of need the removal. I kind of need the counter spells. It's very hard to just trim in a category. I get rid of Baleful Strix. It'll make my Kaitos worse if I do. But opposing Bowmaster makes Baleful Strix pretty bad. I can like play a Baleful Strix while having a Bowmaster on board. And if my opponent Bowmasters, I like lose the Bowmaster and the Strix at the same time. I could do that. Snuff Out's not great, but answering early Tamio I think matters enough that I keep it around. But I maybe don't board in another. That was a cool game though. This is fine. I don't have top end yet. But I'm going to hit my land drops. I have an emergency eject Force of Will. And I can in theory make my own threats uncounterable if I do draw them. Underground Sea, and a Thoughtseize. In a vacuum, I think the best card in my hand is pretty easily the Ponder, but that can situationally change a lot. So, like, if my opponent has their combo, they just take Force of Will. If they have an Orcish Bowmaster coming, they can take Witherbloom Command. All right, I lost the best card in my hand. I'm going to opt to resculpt here. Oh, no. Well, this is altogether too many lands, so casting that Brainstorm honestly made my hand worse. Now I don't have Force of Will available. All right, Delta. We will be cracking to clear those lands. Not going to bluff Bowmaster. I'm just going to take my point of damage where I can get it. Next, Underground Sea. Wish I could Force a Will that. That is card number 2. Card draw number 2. And opponent keeps their stuff there. I'm now going to Surveil. My Brainstorm didn't give me any selection, unfortunately. Let's find our sewers. No. Honestly, this is just cruel at this point. I don't think it makes sense to cast Witherbloom Command. I think I just have nothing to do. We'll preemptively play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn. Oh, this Tamiyo is going to eat me alive. Even worse if my opponent has a Kaito. Blue-Black Shell is just so good at absorbing the best cards in the format at any given time. Oh, Force of Will. So now we are going to be staring down a 4 loyalty Planeswalker on the other side of the field, and I just have no agency. I think we're at the point, if we get Bowmastered, we get Bowmastered. Instead, we are the one Bowmastering. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and make my land drop and pass the turn. Then we will make some progress on this Tamiyo when my opponent cracks this clue at end of turn. Ooh, opponent did not crack the clue. Tamiyo pluses to 6. Land drop. I think I'm actually just going to draw my other Bowmaster rather than cast this and let my opponent crack their clue in response. Actually, I think I found a different line. So I know my top card is Uro. I think I'm going to cast this to put Uro into my graveyard so I can get it next turn. Let's take out the Tamiyo. Not 100% sure that this is going to work out. All right, it does not. Yeah. I guess I could have played towards this differently of doing Witherbloom Command back by Force of Will, pitching Uro. That might be better. All right, here we go. This is what I was waiting for. Ooh. All right, so that is presumably representing a removal spell for it. So, Ing Tamiyo. There's a Fatal Push. Fetch. Gonna buy you for variety. Play the other Bowmasters. Ing a Tamiyo. So I am now generating an Orc Army token that can actually attack into Tamiyo. And I have significantly lowered Tamiyo's loyalty. Tamiyo pluses to 5. Dismember? Snuff out? What are we doing here? Bitter Triumph. You got it. And Thundertrap Trainer, which will be a decent chump blocker to protect the Tamiyo's loyalty. There's Brainstorm. Sure. Opponent might just cast that now, so I don't hit another Bowmaster. Am I fine just cycling that immediately? I might need to just hold Hardcast Force of Will. It's weird, though, because Tamiyo can still do the regrowth thing for a removal spell. Maybe I will just cycle this now, and then sometimes I hit a removal spell for this. Surgical Extraction is not the follow-up that I want to see there. Send out Tamiyo. Alright, opponent is going to take the jump. I don't think we are going to Surgical Thundertrap Trainer here. Prefer to do something like shuffle this card away via Brainstorm. Well, I will surgically extract my Bowmaster. I'm just going to make sure I clicked on the right one here. What is this Bowmaster? Yes. I am going to extract both of the ones that are in my graveyard. Let's just blank Reanimates in that capacity. I guess Reanimate on Thundertrap Trainer is a reason to wait on the Spell Bomb. Fatal Push. That's not great, obviously. Opponent has no cards. This would be a great time to top deck a relevant card. Yeah. We will tap out there. Don't think that is worth playing from that point. GG's. Alright, my opening mana here is slightly awkward because of the Talon Gates, but I just have like Tamiyo plus Snuff Out to start off the game. I don't think this is going to be that bad. Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith. Okay. I'm not interacting with a lot of the things my opponent can do here. I can interact with the One Ring via Orcish Bowmasters. And I think Bowmasters is what I am going to be doing with my mana here. Let's phase out my Tamiyo, just for giggles. Another Ancient Tomb. This is a lot of mana. Snuff Out is going to answer that. That's fine. Double Ancient Tomb here does mean that if I can start attacking my opponent's life total aggressively, it's not going to be so bad. Oh, it's a straight up endless one. I imagine that I still kill the Glaring Fleshraker, but I haven't seen an endless one in months. Alright, and now I decide whether I am Bowmastering or cracking a clue. I imagine I Bowmaster to leave Kaido on the table for the next turn. And I think I ping face. I want the Orc. 13. Planeswalker time? Go get a clue. Now it's kind of important to hit a land drop here. Not gonna lie. Yep. Yep. Put back some Kaitos. Cameo pluses. I'll pass. My mana situation is very awkward and is not getting better. Next turn I can minus a Tamiyo and get Snuff Out back. That's fine. Probably lose Baleful Strix, but it's not castable right now anyway. And I'm correct. So Endless One comes in. I do a chump block. Now I know the top card is another Kaito. We are going to get back Snuff Out here. Going to cast Snuff Out to get rid of Thought-Knot Seer. I will draw the other Kaito, and then we will brainstorm again, trying to hit a land drop. Okay, we did hit a land drop. I guess I play Delighted Halfling this turn to make my mana better in the future. I'm gonna bury Witherbloom Command. The drain to the face might end the game a few turns from now. Let's go bam, bam, land drop, attack with Bowmaster. Opponent has done a lot of damage to themselves with double Ancient Tomb here. I don't actually need to deal that much to finish this game. Play Delighted Halfling. Pass. I'm not sure if my opponent can attack the Tamiyo. Ooh, that's good. Alright. Wastescape Battle Mage. No kicker. Where is this going? Alright, this is going at Tamiyo. How do I feel about that? I think the Mana Dork is more valuable. Alright, goodbye, Tamiyo. You had a good run. So I can't use this for the activated ability here. I guess I am just pondering awkwardly this turn and trying to hit another land drop or something else to do. And play another Delighted Halfling. And then just start casting Kaitos. Sure. So I do awkwardly have to do this to get color appropriate. Talon Gates having some downside here. City of Traders. That allows my opponent to cast some spells without losing life. I think I just eat the 4 to keep this body to potentially protect Kaito. I'm at 8. So if I play Kaito for the full 4 mana, like I was intending on doing, I stun this. This attacks in. I just chump with Bowmasters. That seems okay. And I just kind of assume that as I get more mana and I'm able to cast my things, the game gets easier and easier. Alright. Stun counters there. And Kaito might be able to just go on the offensive and put my opponent in a really bad spot. If they don't block Kaito and eat 3 or 4 damage, I might finish them with Witherbloom Command. They do have an Eldrazi spawn. Uh-oh. That's bad. That is a lot of damage. Either at Kaito or at my face. I think they die if they go full aggro, though. This is a 7-power attacker, so they don't have lethal on board. They kill Kaito by sending Eldrazi Linebreaker at it. They force me to chump block if they send both at my face. How is this playing out? Alright, both are going at my face. I think I win. I'm going to take 7 and go to 1. And then Witherbloom Command seals the deal here. So I'm going to get black and green for Witherbloom Command. We are going to do a drain and kill an Eldrazi spawn. So Eldrazi spawn dies. I drain you. And then Kaito gets to attack in for lethal. Opponent can't get a spawn here. They only have 1 card in hand, so there's not Spirit Guide nonsense or anything that's happening. This should do it. Whew. I think that was a risky line on my opponent's end. Like, not killing the Kaito allows me to do exactly what I just did. Ugh. Very happy to get game 1 here. I get 2 shots at taking this down. So despite the fact that Eldrazi Linebreaker is red, since it is devoid, it's not Hydroblast is not going to be a very good tool against it. Whereas Consign to Memory is sweet. And then I decide if I want to do something like Tear Asunder as well. I don't know whether my opponent has things like the One Ring in their deck. Eldrazi aggro is not a known quantity right now, so I don't really know what their deck is going to look like. My cards seem pretty reasonable against this deck, though. Could cut some cantrips in anticipation of Chalice of the Void. I don't think I get to cut Force of Will, despite the fact that my opponent is a Cavern of Souls deck, because some amount of top end, the One Ring, Thought-Knot Seer, Reality Smasher, maybe we go bigger to the new Storm Ugin. Some amount of that sort of nonsense probably needs to be Force of Willed. I think I'm going to trim a Kaito. I think there's going to be a lot of times where I don't get to just cleanly get in there with a creature and make this cost 3. As a 4-drop, it's a little slow. And then I think I'll just trim 2 1-drops. I really didn't seem to have the mana to crack the clues there, so let's try that. Hell yeah. Eldrazi Temple, we're both starting on 7. Petal is fine. This is a line breaker, I will Force of Will it. I'll still Force of Will that. What do I feel about Strix versus Ponder versus Uro? I think this is how I am winning the game. I think this is a good bridge in a lot of cases. I'll get rid of the Ponder. I can Surveil with my first land drop. Then it's not like I'm wasting my mana. Ooh, sure. Now that gives me the option to cast Uro next turn, which I may or may not actually want to do. Okay, well, I'm glad I used Force of Will on turn 1, because I largely lost the chance to do that. Alright. Linebreaker gets to get in. Card is so much damage. Very, very scary. I will eat 4 to the face here. I'm at 15. Strix or Uro. 1 card in graveyard, 2 cards in graveyard, 3 cards in graveyard, 4 cards in graveyard next turn, probably. Let's Strix and try to kill that. 14, grabbing an Underground Sea. Snuff Out would be a really cool draw. Oops, all Polluted Deltas. I'll bash in for 1. I don't see myself blocking with the Halfling. Worst timeline is probably Hasty Thought-Knot Seer taking my Uro. That's pretty bad too, honestly. The short-term damage here is pretty devastating, right? This is half of my life total, and Eldrazi Linebreaker tramples, and my opponent can probably play another creature next turn. Okay, so I can play Uro and then play Baleful Strix. But I have to use Delighted Halfling as one of the mana sources for that. So extra land drop and a little bit of life here. Bowmasters. I think that's worse than Baleful Strix, but I don't really mind drawing it. Fetch again. Get a Bayou for some variety. Throw down Strix. So, very easily could die this turn. Oh god. That's a lot of damage. So, both of those creatures trample, so that is 11 trample-y damage coming in. We're gonna kill Eldrazi Linebreaker out of spite on the way out. And we lose that one. We just did not have enough time. I have a Force of Will pitching either Uro or Brainstorm as my opening play. And beyond that, kind of an underwhelming opening hand, but I don't really know that it makes sense to throw it back. I'm gonna play Delta. A lot of times I will just Surveil aggressively to put a card into my graveyard for if I want to Uro. Well, Force of Will is very bad now, and I know that. I might Brainstorm here and put Force of Will too deep, hoping to get rid of it. Nah, let's just guaranteed get rid of it on my next turn. Or I could wait. This is just a super reasonable thing to play here. I think long-term Uro has become the plan now. And we'll get our first respectable blocker into play. Oh, Snuff Out is a good pickup. That's a Dismember. I think this is a Force of Will moment. I'm not going to use it for anything else. I'm largely happy with the cards that are in my hand. I'm good with that. This potentially saves me a lot of life. Sure. Alright, I don't really want that. I'm gonna play Endurance with my turn. Send in for 1. Snuff out means that I'm not gonna just eat a bunch of damage from Eldrazi Linebreaker. Thought-Knot Seer can come down now. So this is going to be a 4-3. I'll just trade via Endurance if my opponent doesn't Wasteland me main 1. They didn't. Turn it sideways. Nice. It didn't run into any snuff out awkwardness there. Your graveyard doesn't really matter. I'll take it anyway. There is a timeline where I just snuff this out anyway, because I am potentially about to lose this Underground Sea and the snuff out becomes uncastable. What do I think about that? And I just attack back for 4. Yeah, I'm into that, actually. A little weird. Combo? I'm very glad that I did not get Wastelanded. That all worked out super fucking well for me. So we gain 3 life. Oh my god, snuff out as the draw. Beautiful. And I think I will crash in for the full 4 here. Opponent is at 9. I am now the beatdown, but I'm also the control. Opponent is going down. There's a Thought-Knot Seer. That resolves. This Underground Sea has done so much work. It got 2 snuff outs. It allowed me to get Uro in play with Talon Gates. Insane. And now my opponent is just dead on board. Like, given opponent's heavy mana costs here, it might not have made sense for them to Wasteland, but man, from my side of the battlefield, that Wasteland would have been insane on Underground Sea. GG. Alright, opening hand is fine here. I am okay casting a Ponder. My mana is probably locked up the next couple of turns. How do I feel about Uro? We're playing against something fair, I guess that's fine. We're not playing against something fair. It's 2 or less, right? 2 or less, so that can answer a defense grid. So let's get a grid and a land here. Now, I don't actually have the Force of Will yet to interact with my opponent. Talon Gates for Uro is cool. That's a very good clock. I think since I have multiple lands, I'll put it into hand anyway. But I suspect that next turn I need to brainstorm and look for a Force of Will effect. Fuck. Alright. The opponent does not have more mana. That's the good news. So how much anti-combo interaction do I actually have? The Endurance maybe doesn't matter, so it's mostly Force of Will. It may just be that this is my best way to win this game. Let's go for it. This puts me to 23. The life gain is relevant if my opponent is trying to do something like Tendrils me out. So, we now have a phased out Uro, but my opponent has free reign to combo. Ooh, they don't have it. Nice. Then I am going to get a lot of life and damage over the next couple of turns. My opponent is at 10. Can I put 4 power into play? I have things that I can brainstorm into, like Endurance. I can still fetch green off of this, so I can use a drop here. I can also just make another land drop. Ooh, Witherbloom command. Okay. Let's go Yaw. Yaw. Land. Fetch to clear. Do an Underground Sea. 6, 7, 8, 9. If I play Strix, I have lethal next turn. Play 1 Strix first and see if that changes my mind. Okay, nice. So now, fetch, pick up green for Witherbloom command. Do that off of Bayou for variety. Let's destroy and drain. Destroy, drain, green, black. Opponent is at 8, and I have active Force of Will. I deal 7 next turn. My opponent can't really use Ancient Tomb as a land, or they die. Alright, very nice. So I don't know exactly, but my opponent appears to be playing some sort of Storm deck. We might be gambling. We might be echoing. I'm guessing this is like some sort of Echo of Eons gamble deck. I don't know that the specifics are going to make me like change my sideboard much. So like Null Rod is probably good. Consign for artifact mana is probably acceptable. I will probably board in Hydroblast in the dark, and then I will think about some of this stuff. It just doesn't tend to be the most effective. I'm going to go Fatal Push out. I think I'm going to go Snuff out. I'm probably going to trim a Kaito. Might trim like all the Kaitos. It feels like I kind of just win with Uro as the game goes long. Or even just a endurance getting in there and beating down seems fine. Might just trim a Delighted Halfling and say no to these? Question mark? My opponent has mulliganed. I have multiple cantrips. The cantrips need to find me both interaction and lands. I guess I technically make 2 land drops. This is whatever. I'm gonna mulligan it. Yeah, this hand fucks. Let's go. So Tamiyo probably pitches the Force of Will. I play a Null Rod. I could play Delighted Halfling on 1. I think I'm just gonna put that back. If I draw a blue card, I can Tamiyo on 1. Tropical Island. Did not draw a blue card. I'm just going to play Underground Sea. I don't really want to surveil. My surveil land is a blue-black land. Okay, there's the red that I was expecting. Yeah. I think I am going after payoff cards here. Forfeit triggers. Alright, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can loot. So what does this mean? Why are we playing this? Echo? And what's the dragon? Runehorn Hellkite? Okay. I think since I am about to Null Rod and Bowmaster afterwards, I'm just not going to let my opponent loot through the cards that I'm shutting off. Oh, that's cool. So I'm going to get Bayou here. It gives me green and is not an island for Carpet of Flowers. And then we will go ahead and Null Rod. Stop a lot of the Lion's Eye Diamond shenanigans. And now I'm just hoping to draw a land to get to Uro immediately. Opponent just passes the turn. I did not draw a land. I like having Bowmaster and Hydroblast available at the same time, so despite the cool synergies of Uro and Talon Gates, I think I am just going to make my land drop. Alright, opponent is making mana with Carpet. We will just Hydroblast the shit out of that. Boop. I mean, this is the time for me to do this, right? So with this first one, I can ping my opponent's face. Opponent goes to 19, I get my initial Orc, and then the Veil of Summer thing happens, which means that I can't target my opponent anymore. So I will target my own Orc army, and this is not going to kill it. My Hydroblast gets countered, gamble resolves. Mox Opal gets discarded, which is certainly not what my opponent just gambled for. I will, I suppose, Uro here. Probably looking for Force of Will as my draw. If I get to untap, Consign is a perfectly reasonable card. I don't know that I'm going to get to untap. 16. Carpet is not making mana, which means that I am going to get to untap with Consign. And this means that I can even Baleful Strix as well. I play this land. I guess I'll attack first. 3 more damage. So blue and black, holding up Consign and having the possibility of Bowmasters if I draw another. Double Consign. Did not have the possibility of that. That is a Boseiju. Now I have the possibility of double Consign. I have green, green, blue. Let's get a second blue. I got a Tropical Island. So, what do we got? Blue mana. How does this read? Spells you control can't be countered. Not triggered abilities, but spells. So, we can still, in theory, hit a Storm trigger, but I would have been able to counter this Lion's Eye Diamond. Alright, there's Echo. Sure. Now, again, I can't go at face because of Veil. So I will go at my Orc Army token a bunch of times. Let's just always yield to that. I have Pitchcast Endurance available if I get a window to take out a graveyard in a meaningful way, which I probably won't. Bowmaster continues to just ping Orc Army. That's not great. I can still Endurance through that. So I think I don't respond to that. Well, alright then. Ooh, if opponent is passing the turn, I just win. I have 12 on board plus a Bowmaster. That's great. That was very scary. Opponent goes to 1, and my opponent is not going to get to respond to this because of their own double defense grid. Orcish Bowmasters puts up the win there. We 2-0 that match. Are we 3-1 now? Yeah, league is going pretty well. Final round here. Opening hand is okay. I have Force of Will for an emergency. I'm pretty darn good versus a fair deck with Baleful Strix and Fatal Push here. This is a generically fine opener. Opponent fetches. Maybe Corey Steelcutter. I'm gonna Fatal Push that. And the question is just when to do it. I'm gonna let that resolve. If I want to disrespect Days, I just play Fatal Push now so that I can play Baleful Strix on my own turn in case this is Grixis and Boatmasters is a concern. I think I am going to play around Fatal Push though. Sorry, play around Days with my Fatal Push and take the turn off. It does mean that my opponent will get the draw off Bobble, and that could be a Force of Will or whatever. I think I'm just going to be fine with that and maybe aggressively surveil into my graveyard for the purposes of Uro later. Hey, speak of the devil. Get in there, bud. Opponent gets their redraw. I'll buy you and attempt to take this out. And now I have Force of Will around Days for a Corey Steelcutter if my opponent has one, which is probably the card that I'm conceptually scared of if this is blue-red. Wasteland. I'm losing out on a land. I just have more lands, like that's okay. And a Delver. I think I'm just gonna let that resolve. I have Baleful Strix right here. I'm willing to take 3 to play this out. Yeah, 100%. 1, 2, 3 cards in graveyard. This is the 4th card in graveyard. Already used my Surveil land. I think I'm gonna do it like this. This gives me the potential of Uro next turn if this does not get bolted, and if this does get bolted, my Baleful Strix lives to trade with the Delver. Ponder is fine. I don't care if the Delver flips. And I might aggressively Force of Will a Lightning Bolt on Delighted Halfling now that my opponent has used their other mana. Getting Uro into play is not literally game over, but it's pretty close to it. Yeah, I think I'm going in. Force of Will, pitch Brainstorm. Opponent recognizing what is at stake here, Force of Will's back very quickly. Absolutely. I mean, that just means I get to play Baleful Strix on my next turn, be able to wall the Delver, and then hopefully just hit another land drop naturally for Uro. Maybe with Force of Will backup. Yeah? Excellent. So now I have Force of Will for scary things like Corey Steelcutter. Otherwise, I just play an Uro, gain 3 life, and turn it into a different card, and that's like just totally fine. Yeah, we'll trade. I can Force of Will a Murktide Regent if my opponent has a significantly better threat coming. Land drop. Just like I drew it up. Very nice. DRC as the last card. Alright, yep. My Uro beats the crap out of that. Hopefully I draw a land. That is not a land. DRC is a 1/1. DRC is a 3/3. My opponent wants the card Wasteland. They want either Wasteland or a big threat like Murktide Regent here. Because once I hit mana, Uro is problematic. I guess Days is okay. 13. Yeah, that's what they want. You got it. I mean, I will play that. It is not the best land in my deck right now. It's probably the worst land in my deck right now. But it is getting me towards Kaito. And the stun counters there are very, very real. I'm at 10. I mean, that's a land drop. What else is this doing? Probably just draining. Oh, I guess I fetch before this. We'll go Trop. It's all the colors for Uro. Yeah. I'm just going to confirm I have not played a land this turn. Yeah, I activated Misty. So I will do Sewers as my land. Play it. So that is a card around Days next turn. But I don't really want that land. I guess that is technically blue, blue, green, green. Alright. I think I'm most scared of Brazen Borrower here. That would just be a repeated source of 3 damage. This is a single source of 3 damage. I'm in a scary spot, but I'm not immediately dying. I think I'm going to go ahead and Talon Gates here, phase out this creature, and I think I'm going to play the one that I can play around Days. Oh fuck, I actually did not want to phase that out. Wow, that is a big mistake. Fuck, does that mean I need to... Fuck, that means I need to do this now. Oh man, that was a really big mistake. Hopefully I'm not punished for that. Please don't be Days. Alright, not Days. Cool. And this worked out very well. I get an extra land drop, and I'll pass the turn. Yeah, so I think I am supposed to play Talon Gates. Ooh, Unholy Heat. Anyway, play Talon Gates, not phase out the creature, and stun DRC. If I just replay this on my turn. I don't think that's necessarily the end of the world. We'll see if my opponent can put another threat into play. At his bottom. I will go to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm just replaying the Uro. I think I will just play this as a land drop, even though it has other text as a 4 mana spell. And I'm gonna, air quotes, overpay. With 1 card in hand, that should be resolving. Endurance is cool. And now opponent needs to answer this Uro. And once it gets to my turn, I clear out their graveyard, so Murktide Regent isn't a problem. Alright, there's some card advantage. Doesn't look like it's doing it. Play your Volk. I'll get hit for 3. I'm at 5. These are good cards. Opponent notably does not have green for that. Another Kaito. 8. I think I just do this now so a large Murktide doesn't come down. Green. 1, endurance. Clear that. I had a better way to do this. I play Bowmasters, I put the damage on this, and then I do endurance. I think I'll just live with the mistake. That's fine. Bobble can resolve. That's fine. Now I will throw down the Bowmaster end of turn. Lightning Bolt my face in response. Daze to graveyard. Bowmaster keeps this from blocking. Opponent gets a redraw, which triggers Bowmasters. Goes here. Go to Punchies. Punchies for a very large amount, and my opponent is quite dead. We won that handily by the end of the game. However, the margins were very tight, and I think I made some objective mistakes. Hydroblast for Corey Steelcutter sounds great. Spellbomb is okay. Snuff Out is probably good. I might Terra Sunder for Corey Steelcutter. Answering that card is kind of important. Witherbloom command answers Corey Steelcutter. I don't know that I need Force of Will. Lines up pretty poorly versus Pyroblasts that my opponent is going to be bringing in. At this point, what is my worst card in the deck? Or Terra Sunder for Corey Steelcutter? Or is 2 Witherbloom, 2 Hydroblast enough? Maybe it's enough. Snuff Out is a little awkward versus the Lightning Bolt deck that is potentially also playing Chain Lightning as well. The reach to face is real. This is fine. Kinda wish I did not have 2 of these, but I have Surveil Land into Baleful Strix, into Kaito if everything goes well. I think I will still use the Surveil Land. I would like to draw some interaction now. There's a decent chance that my Baleful Strix does not do what I want it to do. Let's see what my opponent puts together. I would love to not take 3 this turn. Alright, fetch land to clear. Still only 2 card types in graveyard. I'm not getting a Corey Steelcutter breathing down my neck this turn. But I could take 3. Arn to Yard. Alright, Ponder did not shuffle, but I am only taking 1 this turn, which I am thankful for. 19. I will Surveil here. I'm looking for most non-land cards, honestly. Yeah. It maybe forces my opponent to interact, and naturally just lets me play around Daze. Not the most exciting. But maybe this eats a Lightning Bolt so that Baleful Strix lives and actually trades with a creature. Ooh. Full float of mana. This plus Lightning Bolt would be annoying, like getting set back multiple mana sources in the same turn. Yeah. We might get Delvered. I may now need to cast Baleful Strix into Daze. Never mind. I think I cast this on my opponent's upkeep before they have another look at a counterspell off draw step. Alright. That's the good news. The bad news is there's a window for a Murktide Regent or Corey Steelcutter or whatever to come down, and for it to be quite good. Ooh. My multiple Talon Gates do not cast Baleful Strix on curve. That is a 3/3 Murktide Regent, though. Fuck, if my opponent has another Murktide Regent and it's just going to wasteland me off of Snuff Out and such, that's pretty bad. Okay, I think I need to cast this right now. Days be damned, I think there is another Murktide Regent coming. Alright, cool. I would consider pitch casting that if I had the ability to. Well, no, because it grows this, right? And that is still problematic in a different way. You've got it. I will take 3 here. We can see a very real downside of Talon Gates. Fuck! Stop! I have such cool spells that I want to cast. Fatal Push, technically castable, but get phased out, nerd. But not effective versus Murktide Regent. There's green mana. Damn, I hate when I'm right. So I'm taking 7 this turn, followed by 14 next turn, which is abso-fucking-lutely lethal. I cannot think of anything that gets me out of this. Yeah, those cards are not going to do it versus double Murktide there. Yeah, if I get to cast my spells that game, I win. I forget if that was 2 or 3 Wastelands. That was 3 Wastelands. Seems good. I feel like I am boarded about correctly. I say about correctly. I am apparently at 61 cards. Oops. Surely one of these cards is worse than the others. Do something like that. Alright, I have a pretty solid assortment of cards here. Like, I have the ability to hit at least 3 different land drops. I have Orcish Bowmasters, which does Orcish Bowmasters things. Tamiyo might be good enough that it requires my opponent's first turn to answer. Bulk into Long Pause. It does require the first turn to answer. Alright, fantastic. Ooh. All my cards are good. I think I'm just going to put the Strix into play here. I don't super mind if this one gets countered. Ooh, nice. Very good for tempo. And then hopefully my opponent plays a small creature and I Witherbloom command it with my turn. Resolves. Immediate Surveil. I'm kind of hoping that this does not become a 3/3, and again, I just get to get it with Witherbloom while continuing to make my land drops, which feels very important, because if I have mana, I think I just win. So that is creature, instant, land, artifact. The Bowmaster and Witherbloom aren't killing that anymore. I'll probably have to snuff this out, but I can wait to untap so I don't get dazed. That's fine. Good. Sure. So I will ping. My opponent can draw their card. I will ping. Then I'll see if I draw a land. I don't draw a land. I guess this is now dazable, but I have a Bowmaster in play, so... Well, I guess I can force my opponent to attack into Baleful Strix. Yeah, sure. My opponent has, like, multiple very good targets for Lightning Bolt effects right now. And maybe try to save Snuff out for a Murktide Regent later. It may fully just be a mistake to not have Witherbloom commanded on my turn, and just secured the next land drop. Magic's hard. Yeah, it's Wasteland and Unholy Heat on Baleful Strix, which I'm good with. Now my opponent gets to crash in. I'll take the 3, it's fine. Do what they Wasteland, they're going after my green. And this is all fine. Am I willing to take 3 more damage to hit a land drop? I think yes. Ooh, no good on those. I do hit the land drop. Hydroblast immediately? Say sure. Yeah. No days, that's great. I will send in for 3. Very good assortment of cards here. I have passed the days test a couple of times. Next land drop. That is happening. And this is presumably freeing a Ponder or something on my opponent's end. A Delver. I can snuff that out if I have to. I'd prefer to just naturally draw a land and Endurance. Ooh, well, this just gets it too, right? So junk a creature, get a land back. Day's still great, obviously. All right, it works. Is Underground Sea fine? Underground Sea does not cast Endurance. I actually oddly kind of want Bayou, so I can cast Endurance with it, and Snuff Outs are still live through a Wasteland. But that doesn't let me cast the Ponder this turn. I guess drop is fine. Play that, and Ponder. Those are all mid. We can do better. Well, we found one of them again. Send in for 2. Opponent's at 11. Brainstorm is fine. Alright, opponent went into the tank and ended up playing a DRC. 2 cards remaining. I love this. I think I'm going to go land drop. Uro is live. I don't know that I go for that immediately. I think clearing the graveyard is pretty important here. Let's take that out. Now I think I'm willing to go ahead and snuff out this creature at the cost of 4 life. Send in for 2. I guess I can snuff out first to potentially take that body out of the graveyard. Potentially small mistake on my end. I want another swamp. I will put this into play. And now I have a 2-turn clock, now not counting the Uro, and I also have Snuff Out, which I could hardcast if it comes down to it. I like the part where my opponent never had Corey Steelcutter, and I never had to think about, like, falling behind after 1-for-1ing my opponent repeatedly. Seeking the Beast. Ponder and Lightning Bolt. Bolt Face, Bolt Orc, Ponder. That means that Lightning Bolt is going away. This is until your next end step. An opponent casts this during their own turn. Well, I guess I could play a land and then cast it. That did not happen, but my opponent kept their cards there. So this Lightning Bolt is off the table. Show me a counterspell? Nope. To make an extra land drop there even. I will go ahead and attack for 5 here. Opponent goes to 3, and I think I just clear the graveyard right now. Get Bayou. Sack this. Take no chances about a Murktide Regent slipping into play. And my graveyard is still massive for if my opponent does something like Unholy Heat. Lightning Bolt my face. Wow. That is a draw. I've played around that. I need 2 more life. So if I don't play the fetch land, I have effectively 3 more life. 1 from the fetch. Fuck, I could have played around that. Okay. Good to know about. Actually, do I want to change anything? My opponent has less than 5 minutes left on clock. So if I don't get got in the first couple of turns, I maybe just win. It could mean that playing some extra copies of Force of Will just makes a lot of sense. Kaito is the card that is most likely to just get stuck in my hand. Yeah, I'm going to play a couple of Force of Wills. This does not have stable mana. I'm going to mulligan it. This is not perfect, but I think I keep it. These in multiples are not fantastic. So which land is this? Kind of a really big deal. I don't have cantrips currently. I have green and black cards, which makes me think Bayou, but I really would like to be able to cast the Ponders and Brainstorms if that happens. I think I am going to go a Trop. We just use Talon Gates of Madara to filter. Ult is fine. Cool. If I want my maximum value out of this, I want to wait and try to kill a creature or Corey Steelcutter with it. I think I'm just going to kind of play around Daze here. Alright, nice. Sure. I think going to attempt to Bowmaster that in my upkeep. It will be done around Daze. 3 card types in graveyard as of right now. So, yeah. And yeah. Force of Will, very good here, obviously. Opponent will get to Surveil, potentially putting this outside of range of Witherbloom command. Am I fine with this being Dazeable? Not really. I'll just do it next turn. I'm going to phase out my own creature. We're going to go on a hike. And if I wait, maybe I get to Witherbloom this and save the Fatal Push for another creature later. 18. Wasteland. On my Bayou. That makes things slightly more awkward. Another one. Sure. Now maybe this just means that I do one of these now and one later. There's no creature in there yet. So I can Witherbloom command take out one of these while they are still small and then Fatal Push the other. Let's try that. I think this is my window to use this card properly. It does require me to tap all of my mana. I will get Bayou back, save the point of life. Do this. It seems like my opponent is F6'd, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do this now. Alright, good stuff. Board is clear. I have a Strix for a Murktide Regent. Delver is fine. Oh yeah. I'm just going to do this one. My Talon Gates is making it so that I don't have optimal mana. Well, Talon Gates and Delighted Halfling are both not optimal for my stuff here, but this seems fine. Oh yeah. Love the point where the cantrips get cast directly into my Bowmaster. Ping. I was 1 top, 1 bottom though, so opponent found something they liked. Wasteland does not seem amazing. Make land drop first, make land drop first. I'm not guaranteed to draw something castable. Let's just do this and attack for the largest amount possible. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to send in. I'm not going to hold up the Hydroblast immediately. Most things that matter I can just deal with on my own turn. All right, fantastic. So 1. Does it even make sense to cast this? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it's not 6 that I have in play. The blue, some other color, green, Uro, uncounterably, cool. Combat for 4, and I will hold up Hydroblast now. I don't really need to ponder for anything. Um, I will use the spell. If my opponent wants to take that out, it probably means they have something like a Murktide Regent, and keeping my Strix around matters. Alright, we put another win on the board. I go 4-1 today. I certainly did not play perfectly, but we played well enough. Alright, let's wrap this one up here. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not bad. Josh, if you want to mess around with Uro and Talon Gates, this is probably pretty close to the shell to do it. I'm not sure if I like Delighted Halfling. Conceptually, I really liked it for making Uro and Kaito uncounterable, but in reality, having this be a colorless mana source at the same time that Talon Gates was a colorless mana source was absolutely a liability. Kaito was not fantastic in this league. Maybe you can go a different direction, like maybe you just play some things that can come down earlier, like just some other 3-drop creatures. Just play 4 Endurance in the main deck, or play a couple of Barrogoyfs or something like that. Barrogoyf helping to fuel the yard for Uro is reasonable. 1 Life from the Loam I think could be good. That was something that I was thinking about. I don't remember if I said it in the deck tech, but I was thinking about Kaito becoming a Life from the Loam, just lowering the curve slightly by doing that. But I did like that we had a couple of games where Uro just came down on turn 3 and existed. Is messing around with Uro and Talon Gates better than just playing things like Murktide Regent that don't require you to jump through any hoops? Maybe not. But the life gain was definitely relevant today. I will say that much. Sideboard options felt fine. Snuff Out felt good. I'm going to give this one a thumbs up. I think there is probably still some finessing to do here, but I like this a lot. I am glad that I went with Baleful Strix for today. I think if I had basic lands alongside Talon Gates and Delighted Halfling, I would have lost my mind. With that, let's go ahead and call it a day. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any thoughts, throw them down in the comments below. See ya!